Video games are one of the most widely consumed forms of media today. You might wonder how. How are these wonderful games produced? Well, if you've ever wondered this, or have ever wanted to make a video game for yourself, I'm here to give you a little bit of insight into that right now. At the backbone of most all video games is a game engine. A game engine can be classified as a reusable set of tools designed to help in the video game creation process. Some of the most noticeable game engines today are Unity, Unreal Engine, GameMaker Studio, CryEngine, and Godot, which is recently getting a lot of good traction. This is a great place to start doing the bulk of your research. And trust me, there is no shame in using a game engine. Coding a game from scratch might seem more cool at first, but you will severely be limiting yourself by only doing it that way. It takes a lot longer to code a game from scratch, and a lot more complicated optimization to make it run as smoothly as it would in a game engine. Now, that's not to say there isn't merit in making a game from scratch. It's an amazing learning experience which will definitely help you make games moving forward. It's actually personally how I started. Art, a programmer's worst enemy. Just kidding. But it does often intimidate a lot of people. This shouldn't be the case though. There are a lot of different ways to make your game look good. A lot of people think that games with good visuals must have high-resolution textures and lifelike 3D models, but this simply isn't realistic for the average indie dev, or even for the experienced veteran. Instead, the majority of indies opt to focus on aesthetic appeal. Rather than creating super realistic-looking assets, it's wise to focus on creating a certain artistic style for your game. This should be a style that reflects your artistic ability. This could even be something as simple as squares and circles of different colors. Now, to create these assets, you're going to need a few programs. If you're making any 2D assets, Photoshop is an amazing tool, but it's also amazingly expensive. So if you don't have access to it, fear not, GIMP is here. GIMP is a great tool. It's the tool I started with, and I still use it today for certain things, even though I have access to Photoshop. For anyone making a 3D game, I would heavily recommend Blender for 3D modeling, animation, rigging, and everything in between. It's not only free, but extremely powerful. The tool you use does not matter as much as the skill that you develop with it. For instance, in terms of sound, I actually use Audacity, another free tool. It's the software that I'm currently recording this with. Sound is an often overlooked part of game design. It adds a lot to the world, making it feel more alive. There's a lot of different ways to go about making the sound for your game. And there are generally two distinct parts, music and sound effects. Sound effects tend to be a little easier in my opinion, since you can really just bang whatever household objects you find together until they make the sound you're going for. Of course, this can definitely become more difficult when you're trying to make high fidelity assets, but I do find that it has a bit of an easier entry point for most people. The music portion of this can be a bit more tricky, although there are ways to get around it if you don't know how to play an instrument. Software like LMMS and Buskakyoal are great tools to make loop-based music. With Buskakyoal, you can actually even try it in your browser. These three elements are just a small portion of making a game. There's a whole world of game design just waiting around the corner, but I don't think it'll do much good to throw all of that at you while you're just getting started. I plan to do a bunch of tutorials for Unity, simple concepts just to help you get started, and more advanced specific concepts such as making an inventory for a game. I want these tutorials to give you the tools to go further on your own, even after the video is done. I hope you learned a thing or two during this video. If you didn't, well, I plan to make a lot more advanced videos going forward. Thanks for watching.